Welcome to Messier Mantra. I'm your host, Mike Messier. On this episode, we have a very special guest from Dina K Photography. It's Dina Konovalov. Dina,
hi Mike.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Did I get the name right?
You did. That practice paid off.
Great, thank you. It's a Russian name, right?
It is, yes.
And you were telling me that you came to the United States from Russia when you were 13 years old with your family?
I did. I'm in fact from Azerbaijan, which used to be one of the states in Russia. So yeah, my family immigrated and came to the States when I was 13.
Wow.
And that's it. I've been here since then.
Do you remember the journey coming over and how you felt about it at the time?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a life-changing experience at a very awkward age, so it's hard to forget.
Yeah. Was it scary for you?
It was a mix of emotions. It was definitely scary coming to a new world, but also exciting. I think the scariest part was just leaving everything behind, all the friends and a lot of relatives, and just going into the unknown. And
wow.
Yeah.
What part of the States did you come to? New England, Massachusetts originally? Or?
Yeah, we came straight to Boston, so pretty much we hung out here since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone back to Russia to visit, or not so much?
I haven't gone back to where I'm from.
Right.
My husband is from Moscow, and we did visit his dad there a few years back, but that's as far as I went. I didn't go back to my birth city.
Yeah. The reason why I ask these questions is because I think as a photographer, is there any way that your voyage as a child into the United States and having that experience, that's very unique, you know, for a lot of people, you know, hard to imagine for myself. Is that influence your photography, or the fact that you became a photographer even, like, hey, I want to capture people or capture images?
I think in a way it did. I think it gave me a voice at a time where English was did not come easy to me, and I went straight to high school, and you know, this weird little Russian girl in high school and trying to absorb all the new things and can't really communicate just yet with the world, with the new world. So I think when I took photography lessons in high school, that opened up a whole new world for me, and a new way to express myself, and that probably stuck with me since.
So that's when you started photography in high school?
I did.
A class for photography.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And was that a good experience? Because sometimes we pick up things like whether it's poetry or any type of special arts class in high school, and it's great that we trigger that, but sometimes the teachers aren't so good. But did you have good photography teachers in high school, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just the environment itself, creating that magic in the darkroom, and being able to be surrounded by other people who are looking at the world a different way, maybe, or wanting to look at the world a different way, and sharing that with these people. All of a sudden I was accepted, and so I think, and of course the teachers helped too, but I think that made me want to continue with the journey.
That's great.
Yeah.
And photo flow, was that part of your, those chemicals, right? Did you do those 35?
I did, yeah. I'm old school, so I did everything by hand in the dark room, and going into college, same story. So, I realized that ages me a little bit, but
it's all right.
but I do have the old school background in photography, which I love. Did
you have those, because I took a little photography too,
mm-hmm.
Did you have those kind of those curtains or those things you put your hands in?
Yep, one of those bags.
Those bags,
yeah. You put your hands in and nobody knows what you're doing, and you're just kind of being all frustrated. Oh, get that film on there. Yeah. To this day, I can find things in the dark pretty well.
Wow, because that was always a challenge for me, is not screwing up the roll of film.
That was the tricky part.
Yeah, that was,
it was very tricky.
Yeah, you could have like some cool pictures.
You only have one chance. Yeah.
Wow. Those are good times.
Yeah.
And then you say you went to school, was it a photography school or
I went to Mass College of Art.
Okay.
So I graduated with a bachelor in photography. So, yeah.
Nice. How was that experience for you?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Talking about amazing teachers, I definitely had a couple who really influenced my style, and Abraldo Morel was one of my main teachers throughout the years, and he's just one of the most amazing artists that I know.
Yeah.
And so it definitely helped me develop an eye throughout those years being there. So yeah, loved it.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was. I have a poster, and it's not a poster. It's kind of a framed picture on my wall at home that I call the Zen Den, and it's Andy Warhol, the
Yep.
artist from the, I guess, 70s and 80s, and and even the 60s. But it says, "I never read books. I just look at pictures." And it's Andy Warhol, and I have that because like I like to read books, but I like pictures too. You know, but it's cool that are you traditionally a visually thinking person? Like do you always or often think in terms of visual imagery rather than words? You think? Or?
I think definitely visual person for sure. I'll grab a book or magazine, and first thing I'll do is look for the imagery in there, and so that's definitely. But I do like to read as well, so it's not like I don't read at all.
Right.
When I have time, But even seeing an object or a place will stimulate my thinking and creative juices flowing, and so yeah, I think definitely visual person.
What do you? We're going to try and put some media pictures on the screen for the people, but we know I'm telling the audience, you do some headshot photography of actors in this region, which is great. And as far as locations, we'll get into that in a minute. But as far as locations, what type of locations do you find yourself drawn to? As far as just if you were going to go to a beach or go to a city, what kind of things like that do you like?
For headshots or in general?
In general.
In general,
yeah.
I think I'm most attracted to unique locations. So not your typical, here I am happy on the beach type
right.
of, you'll find me in a creepy basement type of place more than, in a sunny Hawaii or something like. Although, scratch that, I'll go to Hawaii anytime if anybody wants some pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm drawn to things that have history, things that have interesting light, texture, a place where I feel like I can tell a story.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the headshots now. Let's talk about the headshots. So local actors will come to you, probably word of mouth. One actress say, "Hey, where'd you get your headshot? Looks great. Oh, Dina K, photography, And then you get this new client. How do you determine where to shoot the new client, where to take their pictures?
Well, for headshot photography, I do have a studio in Norwood, and I do most of my headshot photography in and around my studio.
Okay.
It's a really cool building. It's an old mill.
Yes.
So again, I'm drawn to that historical locations, and there's so many different nooks and corners around it, as well as if you were to see my space, it's pretty cool, I have to say.
Yeah.
It has amazing natural light, different textures. They have even old elevator doors that we repainted, and it's just so many different options out there. So I always find more and more. So really depends on the person and what kind of shot they're looking for, and the light. Whether I'm going to use natural light or set up a studio light for that person. So it kind of, I don't have a formula that this is how I do it and that's it.
Right.
It's kind of, I get to know the person and we decide which way we're going to go about it. Do they want a shot where they're happy-go-lucky commercial look, or do they want a theatrical, very dark, more moody type of lighting? So that's going to determine the final outcome as well.
And different types of actors, meaning, a 300-pound biker dude.
Yep.
He's going to come in maybe with a cut-off sleeve vest, like a jean vest and a leather jacket underneath or something, as opposed to maybe a 120-pound actress who is going to have a different look, or the friendly neighbor actor, who looks like your friendly, person next door. So
exactly.
Yeah, so you're going to have to. Now, here's a question. You ever get someone say that, 300-pound biker guy, but he wants to come in and he thinks he's Tom Cruise? See what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you ever have actors who are they're not really aware of their type, or maybe they haven't said, hey, you know what, I'm not the traditional leading man.
Yep.
I might be a great character or actor or tough guy actor, but does that ever something you have to broach a little bit, like kind of get into the conversation, like, hey, maybe you look better in the elevator shaft as opposed to the rose garden, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think with most of my headshot sessions, we explore a few different looks.
Okay.
And so in this case, I'm always a big advocate of going with a character. If this is who you are, let's do this.
Right.
But why don't we try something else as well, and almost have two opposite looks that we do during the session. And it's always interesting to me, taking one person and here they are, this very approachable dad next door, and then all of a sudden he can turn around and be this bad guy, on a bike or something.
Right.
But I definitely like to explore different looks and personalities of the actors that I work with. I think it's important because they can then send a shot to a casting director who's looking for a dad, or maybe somebody who's looking for a biker.
Right.
So you never know.
And the visual is so important because, as you just explained, you can have an actor, same day, with just a few alterations, could look like the leading man or the comic relief.
Absolutely.
Or the actress could be the femme fatale or the girl next door.
Absolutely.
Or, the mom or the daughter, the father or the son.
Exactly. And I mean, that's the definition of an actor as well. You don't want to be just the mom.
Right.
You want to be a lot of different things, and so we play around with that in expressions, outfits, backgrounds, lighting. All of that plays part in the final product and the final different shots that we create together. So it's a collaboration.
Yeah, and that's great. And I'm guessing but not knowing, that you probably have some actors who come in to your studio to work with you and they're very opinionated, and then there's probably some that don't have much of an opinion. So you kind of have to, I'm guessing that you have to guide some of them more than others, would you say?
Yeah, I would say I've been lucky enough not to have too many bad opinionated clients. It's more of confidence versus not. And so for somebody who's been doing this for a living for a while and know what they're doing, know what they're in for, it comes a little bit easier for that person as opposed to somebody who's either just starting out or they've been doing this a long time ago, now they're coming back to this whole acting world again, and they need a little confidence boost. So, and I mean, I don't mind that at all. In fact, I think it's a challenge that I like to accept, because if I can make that person feel comfortable, and if we can make a photograph that will send them off on a way, to get them great acting gigs and help them down the road, that's what I'm here for. So it's all about getting to know the person, making them feel comfortable, and really trying to understand how you can help them.
I should mention that our mutual friend, William Dikoff, suggested you come on the show, so I want to make sure he knows we appreciate that. And you're going to work with him in a few days, I understand.
Thank you. Yes, we're setting up a session at the end of August, so I'm happy to be sharing the pictures with his permission when it comes to that point. So
nice.
Yeah.
Now, just to follow up on this topic a little bit, I think it's interesting. Have you ever worked with like New York-based actors? Like, did they ever come down, or not yet? Or?
I work with a couple of actors who are working a lot more, even though they reside in Boston. For example, probably one of my most favorite and famous people is Erica McDermott, and she obviously works everywhere, and she's a big star. And but I don't necessarily go to New York to get actors from there. There's tons of great photographers in New York. I can't imagine why somebody would specifically come here to get their headshots. But if they're in the area, I'm here.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I don't discriminate.
My question, I was getting at, maybe it was just, was there a difference in the mindset of, because as an acting coach, working on the, scene study, that type of thing, like sometimes actors who have been to New York or Los Angeles or Chicago, they know how competitive it is, and they have a little bit more of an edge than the New England folks. And I just wondered if that was something maybe you had experienced as well.
Well, I just think that actors who are working actors who've had more experience altogether, I think they, like I said, they have that more of a confidence. They know what they're looking for. They have an agent who will tell us sometimes what they're looking for to get out of this new headshots. They will tell us sometimes, okay, we have this look, or now we need them to look like the girl next door, or we need them to look for this upcoming, or like this. So I always try to ask my clients if they're represented by somebody, and I have clients who are represented by New York agencies, what they're looking for in their headshots. What can I do to make them marketable in that city, or in the big, in LA, or in the big world out there. And so I try to collaborate with everybody involved so that I can help everyone, That's really smart, because the last thing you want to do is work so hard on the headshots, get a good shot, and then the actor or their agent chimes in and says, well, we really want to do, and you're like, I just spent hours upon hours. Exactly. That's one of the first questions. That's why it's important to have a conversation with an actor before we start to do anything altogether. I always like to find out what they want to accomplish, if they're being represented, what their manager or agency may be looking for, so that we can get the most out of the session. Nice.
I was going to ask, is there anything that you would share? Because, this show is open to all types of fields at this point, but a lot of people in the New England film community are watching. I'm very happy about that. For the actors out there that might be watching, and the people that are interested, what are some mistakes that actors will make? Not working with you, but working with, I'll just get my mom to take a picture of me in the hallway, or my cousin Ned, has a digital camera. What are some of the mistakes that people make that you see these headshots and it probably drives you nuts seeing them?
I mean, that's probably the mistake to make, is not to get your headshots done professionally, because it's just so important. As like I said, being a visual person, being in this visual business, that's the #1 thing that's going to set you apart from anybody else in this business. You can't go anywhere without having a headshot. You can't even register on a website without uploading a picture of yourself. And yes, you can save a couple of $100 here and there, but down the road, you're not going to get the gigs that you want, because your photo is not going to just measure up to the industry standards that the casting directors are looking for and grab their attention. So the most important thing is, I think, is investing into a great headshot to begin with, and going with a professional who knows what they're doing, especially in headshot photography, because, like I said, there's so many different angles, and you can just go crazy.
And here's another thing. Well, I was recently part of a really nice actors spotlight event in Rhode Island. It was a really nice event, very well organized. What was, even caused me concern was a lot of the actors came in with either headshots that they had done, like we were just discussing, by probably an amateur, not yourself, not a better photographer, or they did some type of selfie, and then they didn't even have it professionally presented in such that they didn't have the 8x10 size. Didn't have the 4 staples, stapled from the front to the back of the staple, not with the reverse staple, so that the staple flat side is going into the picture, which comes out the other end on the piece of paper, which has been trimmed from 8.5 by 11 paper to 8x10 with the resume with a nice size font, so it's readable, not so it's like an 8.5 font so they can put every theater show they did from 3rd grade to last week. It seems like you're familiar with what I'm talking about. Like some of the people that maybe come see you, I'm just guessing, come in and they're just so out of whack because they have this headshot resume, and it's, like I had seen headshots and resumes. People had a picture this big and then had like some type of resume that was like their office resume, and just craziness, you know?
Well, I think, what can I say? The advice to those people is that if you are going to take your professional seriously as an actor, you have to really put some thought in how you present yourself. In other words, as an actor, you're not just a talent. Now you're all of a sudden your own business.
Right.
And so you have to have the tools needed to professionally represent yourself. You may not still have an agent, you may not have, you know, all these jobs yet, but if you look the part, if you are professional enough, then at least some doors can be opened for you. And so I think it's important to educate yourself in what the requirements are, what the industry standards are, and adhere to those standards to just present yourself in a professional manner. And it's so important because I think, like you said, you probably would look at that and say, okay, they don't know what they're doing in the business. Why would I want to work with you? You know, there's so many actors out there. Sometimes experience goes over talent, because you can count on the person, or you know they know what they're doing. So no talent is going to shine through by giving a little card and that's not presented the right way when people are expecting a by 10 print instead. So they're immediately going to be disqualified for any big gigs if that's the, you know, that's what their casting directors are looking for. So unfortunately.
Yeah, and you know what? The funny thing is, it's not even funny, it's kind of sad, is like the amount of effort to put into getting the headshot resume looking nice is minimal if you get one gig that pays, you know, a nice chunk of change because they're impressed by your headshot resume and say, oh, okay, this lady, this guy, you know, this child actor is perfect because they have that right look, and they pop off the headshot and then they kind of go with their instinct, followed up with, you know, if they have you do an audition or whatever. But if you don't even get your foot in the door because your headshot resume is...
You've lost that chance.
Right. And that could be, that payoff could equate or be greater than the money invested in the headshot.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know? And like you said, it is an investment, you know, when you're doing anything, when you're opening up your own business, when you are starting out doing something new, you print your business cards, you do something, you have to invest some sort of, you know, money into this. So in the acting world, this is your investment, you know, great headshots, a well put together resume. And that's, you know, obviously you want to take some classes and hopefully have some talent too. But, you know, the tools are so important, whether a demo reel is needed as well for an online audition and things like that. You know, if you don't have one, you can't apply for the job. So if you're not prepared, nobody can take you seriously, unfortunately. And And
then there's things... So once we get into this, is a whole Pandora's works. In another episode, we'll talk about other types of photography. But we'll stick with this for now.
Okay.
The comp card.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Of course you do. The comp card is, you explain it to the audience what a comp card is.
It's a card.
With
a few pictures as opposed to just having one picture. In other words, it's used mostly by modeling agencies where they need to see more visuals of a person being able to, you know, sell themselves as different characters. So a comp card is usually a headshot on the front with, you know, the names and some basic statistics about that person or model, and then a few shots on the back as well showing that actor model in different scenarios. So.
And I've never had a comp card done. I'm overdue for a comp card myself. I'm overdue.
I don't know about the acting world needing so many comp cards. I think it's mostly for modeling world or actors / models who would be looking into something like that.
But I want one.
Hey, you want one, you get one, okay? Mike, you have to get one if you want something.
It's funny.
Absolutely.
No, but my friend, who's also a Russian lady, Daria Zabinski, used to have a really nice comp card that she had distributed, and it was just reminded me, like, when I thought about, you know, because she was an actor and model as well. Cool. So, and when you take those pictures, you're trying to bring out different facets of the person's personality, I would imagine.
Yeah, it becomes, like I said, it's more geared toward modeling than acting communities. So when I do a comp card photo shoot, it's very different lighting scenarios, different outfits, different makeup and hair looks.
Right.
So it's a lot more involved. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more involved, and it's a longer production.
Right.
And we try to make it look like these are 5, 6, 7 different photo shoots,
Yeah.
and where you can showcase the person. Yes, she can sell toothpaste. Look
Right.
at that smile. Or wait a minute, she's a high fashion model.
Right.
So you kind of work with different sides with a model and try to showcase that.
Nice. Now I hope I'm not catching you off too guard. We have a couple of minutes left in this episode. Messier mantra. We ask guests. I hope I don't cut you off guard, but I want to give it a shot here.
Go for it.
Mantra. Do you have an ethic or a slogan or an expression or a thought that you think about in your life or professional? A mantra, so to speak.
I mean, there's definitely a lot
Yeah.
of thoughts there. I think when I think of mantra, I think of my mother.
Okay.
And what she would have done, what she would say in certain situations. And one of the things she always says, and something that I very much agree with, is plan the good things.
Wow.
Because the bad things happen by themselves naturally. So it's not necessary, it can be, you can look at it in a professional way, in a personal way, whatever way, but I think that having always to look forward or plan something good in the future, whether it be tomorrow taking your kid for ice cream, or planning a big trip, or trying to reach a certain goal professionally. Planning and looking forward to those things, I think, is so important, as opposed to just sitting and waiting for something like that to happen.
Right. So many people, whether it's actors or potential filmmakers or writers or whatever profession might be, in the arts especially, will sit and and I've been guilty of it, sure, you just sit and you think and you think and you think, or you have that problem that sometimes I have in myself, where you start a project and you lose interest, or you try to get the right people and the right people aren't there initially, so you give up too soon, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
But to plan, like your mom said, for the good things, that's very intelligent. I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's good. All right, well, we're coming up on the end of this episode. We're going to have you on another episode. So Dina K Photography, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike, for having me here. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for watching this episode of Messier Mantra with Dina K. We'll see you next time right here on Messier Mantra.